Heyo, and welcome to Hasura Coding. Oh, I don't know what time of day it is for you, but it doesn't really matter because we're going to be writing some code, and it could be early in the morning, it could be late at night, it could be anything. For me, it's 9-ish p.m. on the West Coast in Seattle, Washington. If you're game, let me know where you're at in the comments. I'm always curious who is watching. I also noticed, let's see here. One of the things, this always takes me a minute because what has happened recently I've had to reload my machine completely from scratch. So I completely reloaded Big Sur back on the machine after formatting the drive. So I formatted the drive, completely fresh OS in here. Excuse me, I had to authenticate with my authentication mechanism because you open Chrome? No, I'm using Chrome. I'm trying to share the screen and it's taking, there it goes. Okay, it took a minute. Because I've reloaded the machine, I keep having to give permissions and things like that to the machine as I tell it to do new things with like the mic and video and all that jazz. Well, lo and behold, as you can see right here, beside my giant face, now a smaller face, something tweeted this. I guess it's Periscope, which I didn't know existed, but I'm publishing this video stream to Periscope also. So definitely give me a shout out if you're on Periscope. I didn't know anybody still used that. I didn't know it existed, so that's kind of fascinating. I clicked the button, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. Anyway, here we are at the initial starting point of a thing that we're going to do. So let's see, I get that out of there. If you're wondering what this cool IDE is, this is Visual Studio Code in the one of the themes. It's kind of trippy, but it stands out real clearly. So I figured, what the heck? I'm going to use that for the stream tonight. So here we are with Visual Studio Code, all fancy looking like that. Well, this is it. You're sharing, really. You tell everybody you're sharing on the screen that's being shared. That's kind of a weird way to do it, StreamYard. Anyway, and this is my terminal. I use Zush, if you're curious. And I just set that up again and grabbed a new theme, and that theme is Amuse. So if you're curious what theme this is as we're working through this tonight, that's what it is. That's what my terminal is, Zush, and that's the theme. All right. So next thing's next. Let me close some of these permissions windows so I can see what I am doing. All right. And I believe I have the other things installed. Let's hear Go. There we go. We'll be using a little bit of Go tonight. And we will be using Hasura, as you might guess. So there's Hasura's CLI installed. And the current version is Hasura version, what is it? Hasura, everybody has a slightly different. So we're on the V2 beta 2. And then for Go, we're on 1.16. Isn't there a newer version? I feel like should be on 1.18. Anyway, I'm using 1.16, 1.16.5. I thought I just got the latest one. Maybe that is the latest one, and I'm just off by 2 in my head. And let's see, what else are we using? We're using Docker. So there's all that, and then Docker-v. Is that, yep, version 20.10.7. I don't ever know what version I'm on. I just use it. And I do have the Docker for Mac running over here. And I'm running this on Mac today, not using Linux, so just FYI around that. And maybe that's obvious, figured I would mention it. All right, so those are the basic things we will be using for the majority of this tonight. And I probably will be using Golang, JetBrains IDE for Go. Probably will just use code to start off with. It's what I usually do, so I start off with code, and then eventually as things get a little bit more complex and I want to introspect further into the code base, start using the JetBrains tooling for that. And we may use DataGrip for a little bit. So then begs the question, what is it that I'm doing? Let's see, where's my keys? There it is. What are we doing? Dot markdown. Is that not the keys? My keyboard's messed up too because I don't. Anyway, I was going to save that. Here we go. What are we doing? Let's put that in the directory here. My codes directory. I'm going to put this in. Let's make a path. Let's go ahead and start building this thing out. I'll put that in it in just a second. Let's actually close this. There we go. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out. I'll just tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to start out. I'm going to build a repo, and that repo is going to be used to set up general ways that you can create basically randomized or generated data for your database. We're using Hasura as the API to get into and out of that database. So we'll be doing some GraphQL writes and things like that eventually. I'm going to do the coding where we generate based on the coding. I intend to use Go for that. We may use a little JavaScript. I'm not sure, but that's the plan at this point. And we'll be looking at some tools that will prospectively do random data generation for you. I'm mostly just going to mention those, and then we may look at and use some of the tooling, some of the open source tooling that generates data for a database. So that's what I'm going to be going through tonight. Some of the stuff I am familiar with, some of the stuff I am intimately familiar with. I've used it a lot. Some of it I have only looked at in the last day or two. So those things I'll be a little fumbly with, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together. And the stuff I know, we'll just kind of move through it pretty quickly, but I will try to cover it. And if you have any questions, hey, Victor, welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat, just like Victor Tong said, hey, throw the questions in there and we'll get them answered. We'll get it figured out. You know, I'll answer it or figure it out or whatever we got to do. So I'm glad you're excited, Victor. That's awesome. I'm excited too. I hope we get a lot of progress out of this. It'll be interesting too because this machine, as I was mentioning earlier, I just reloaded it, so I'm not sure exactly where my permissions are with a lot of stuff. And I don't have every single thing installed again. But we're here, we're in the codes directory at 213405, and we're going to start off with literally from scratch, make a directory and start putting things in here. So let's call it data generator data genning thingy generator. Stab a generator. Nah, just generating data generator. There we go. That's what it's going to be. All right, and then I'm going to do a git init just so we can put it up on GitHub when we're done with it. And then let's see here, we're going to do a Hasura init. Leave that directory called Hasura, just like that. And then I always like to grab this just to get us our initial workspace up and running. Just go with, let's see here, Hasura Docker quick start. And its first link, scroll down. I don't have wget because it's a fresh load, but I do have curl. I don't know if that's my copy paste. I don't know which keys I'm hitting. Oh, I got it. Cool. So pull the Docker YAML. Okay, that looks good. Close that. And let's do this. Yeah, a little bit bigger here. Okay. Now in here, we have, let's see. Here we have our metadata migrations and seeds and the config.yaml, which just be pointed at our local host. In the Docker file, I'm going to open that up in code real quick. One giant black screen. Is it going to open? Is it doing? Oh, code. Code. Let's try that again. That's really weird. Code, why are you broken? Let's just manually open it and see what happens. I just do this. Oh, that opened. Weird. Generating data generator. Oh, is it? That's really weird. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, this is our directory. This is the Docker Compose file that we just pulled down. As you can see, some pretty standard stuff. We have a Postgres database that we're pulling down, version 12. A GraphQL engine, which is Hasura, and that'll be v2.0.1, which, matter of fact, I'm going to show you real quick. This is how you copy. This is how you would upgrade the CLI. You do Hasura upgrade CLI version. I think let's do Hasura. Oh. Hasura upgrade CLI. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Well, update CLI. No. Really? Oh, okay. I guess that is the latest of the CLI. Anyway, the server though is 2.0.1, ports 8080 open there. For the database, I'm going to actually open up ports. Postgres is 5432. 5432. Like that. There we go. And then let's see, what else do we want to do? Oh, also, with the new Docker Compose file like this, we have this set up as the metadata database. So if I spin this up right now as is, actually, I'll just do it. I'll show you. So let's go into Hasura. I'm going to spin up the console. Oh, whoops, I needed to do derp. Doing this backwards here. Docker Compose up-d. There we go. And then after that is running, ever failed programming external connectivity to endpoint something. What is already allocated. Oh, that usually means I've left something running. Where's that? So Docker stop. PS AQ, it's that, and then Docker remove. Let's start from scratch here because I don't want to deal with anything in weird state. Docker PS AQ, oops, Q. There we go. Docker images. Okay, the Docker images there. Docker network list. Docker network prune, yes, Docker volumes, Docker volume, shut down the it's the console. Is there a problem with the console? Victor asked to shut down the console. I'm not sure why. Maybe there is insight to it. Oh, behind me? Oh, yeah. Well, it's not going to do anything. It's just sitting there. But yeah, let's do that. Volume prune. Yes. There we go. So now we're going to be completely clear when we launch this puppy. So Docker compose up -d. There we go. Okay. This is going to take a few seconds. And then I'm going to navigate back into the Hasura directory. and actually open up the console. Now, the little message you might have seen just for a fleeting second there. Let's see here. Right here. That describes what I was talking about. So the default database does not exist currently, right? Even though we got up and running, this is just a warning. But if we go over here to data, you'll see there's no database connected in here yet, right? There's nothing over here. You just have connect database and you need to start connecting a database. However, we do have a database, but it's just the metadata database. And the metadata database is the one that just stores the Hasura metadata. And it's not one that we can particularly interface with in the traditional sense, or you wouldn't want to particularly interface with it. It just stores the metadata, like I was saying. But we can use that database anyway. I'll show you how to do that real quick here. So even though we have nothing here, let's go back over here and go back into the console. Debunk that. Now, go back here and open up. Where is my other project? I have another one that I set up recently. Okay, GraphQL relational concept mapping has a working example in it. So I'm going to pull that up real quick. Hopefully that'll pull up code correctly. There it goes, yeah. So in this compose file, you'll notice I have a Hasura GraphQL database URL. The one that Docker compose file has right now is just the metadata database URL. So you kind of need both of these. So I'll just grab this one. And then we go back over here, and we will just add it right here. And now, we can use that database as our database for all this fun stuff. I always write confused. I don't know why I do that. Those letters aren't even close together. They're not really. I mean, they're not side by side. They're close together. Would that help? Directly, let's get back into our stuff. Generating data generator, and there's our. They use the old Docker. We use good practice Docker compose using the new feature that's in Docker now. There we go. Getting up and running. Success. Okay, got all that in there. Then get in here, and now, actually, yeah, we need to run it. Yeah, go back to data. Oh, did I close the wrong one? Oh dear, it should have. Did it not pick it up? Well, let's do this. We'll do one by environment variable. We'll do this. We'll call it default. Oh, it should have already been connected. Generally, it will pick up the default. I must have done something shutting this down and starting it back up that messed it up. But anyway, back to this. So we have a database and we have the GraphQL API now. Some of the things that I've used to set these up have varied. I don't know if you've ever seen anybody use SQL to actually generate the data. Sometimes you can do that. There's various columns and columns types. That is a quick way to generate some data. Like if you need a table with just some data of some type, that's probably the easiest way to do that. And let's look at that real quick right now. If you just click on create table, and we'll call this function generated data with ID. This is always a good default, right? I can just use the function, right? Generate that unique, make it the ID, and like let's say we have created that, updated that. These are timestamps they're going to pull now. This one's going to add a function for itself, so that it always shows you the updated time. And that's a pretty easy way to just have a table that's going to generate data every time you do an insert. Now, you would need to insert something in one of these tables, right? So let's see, what else could we do? Let's add another column and just say, oh, stop showing me this thing, automated tooling. What should we call this? General info text, and let's see what does it show anything for default value. Keyboard being special again. All right, we're gonna go with that one. Okay. Now let's just work based off of that. So tables in there. Okay, so we can go in here, right, and just say like A, B, C, and it's that easy, right? If we made general info nullable, we could probably even do, let's do that, edit this, and this is pretty ridiculous. I'm aware of that. But just giving you some ideas, want to plant the seed of ideas of how to generate some data. So there's that. We got those three. Let's do another insert. Let's do save, 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 save. And as you can see, lots and lots of data, right? And I'm not inserting it here. So if we go back, we can see all of the different additions there and the IDs. So if you just need data, there's a way to generate data, right? Straight off the SQL. So that's always a great starting point. Again, if you just need data, yeah, exactly. It's a good way to do it. So basically, you're just calling an empty insert on stuff, and it's going to town, creating all this stuff. All I'm doing is null inserts on this, basically. But let's see here. Let's create a table and call it generally useful generated data. It's going to be a monster table name. And we'll go ahead and do an ID just like we did before. Call it a UID. Generated random UID. Then unique. Then ID. Then let's call it a username. And we'll do text for that. And we'll have email. It'll be text too. It'll be unique. And we'll add created that and updated that on this one too. Scroll down and email is unique. Perfect, perfect. Add that table. And then we're going to add one more table. We'll add another table that will be called generally useful related data. I'm going to go with, let's do it off of ID. Well, we'll do our own UID here. And what I'm going to do is relate this back to the other table. You'll see in just a second here. This one's going to be, call this a date of birth. Can be used for geo searches, like in a general sense, yeah, you can always do that. Also, like Postgres had some specific geo capabilities around geo searches. I'm not super familiar with those, but Hasura utilizes Postgres this underlying database, which gives you a lot of capabilities around utilizing what Postgres can do from a search perspective. And also, you speaking in context of like finding a place within a geographic area or something like that. Either, I don't actually have any idea how to say your name. I apologize. Something like that. But yeah, like if you have a space, you're trying to find, is it in the space or right outside of the space or something like that, right? Hey, Biscuit Coin, how are you? Welcome to the stream. It can do searches like that. There are searches that Postgres are capable of. So by proxy, you can either write functions, you can write queries or whatever, and you can have the GraphQL call those, or have GraphQL initiate those if you want to. There's various ways to do that, and that I know, but there's probably a lot of other aspects around that I'm completely unfamiliar with. And I need to get familiar with that. So maybe I'll be doing that on one of the streams here in the very near future. I would hope so, because that's a space that I find really fascinating. So let's hear. I got that. That's peripheral data, and then I'm going to do details. Details. Here we go. Text. I think that should be enough for the table in that sense. So I'm going to add the table though, and then I'm going to modify it. And you don't really need to do this in 2 steps like this. Hey, thanks. Props for that call out. Let's see. And like I'm saying, you don't need to do this in 2 steps. You can do all of this in 1 step and then just like save it with the relationship. But I'm doing this separate just for the call out. So this is going to be the gen ID. It's such a bad name. But it's going to be UID. It's going to be related back to the other one. So this is going to be like a one-to-one relationship back to the other table there. So let's review 20 keys, public reference table, generated data versus my related data. So this would be ID, whoops, gen ID, and this would be ID. And really, you know what? Let's do this. I want to rename the table name because let's track both of the relationships like that. And let's go into here, just related data, modify either name. It's really useful. Users. Whoops. Generally generated users is what I'm going to call that. Save. Okay. And then, okay, come on, refresh here. There we go. Generally generated users. And this is going to be called generally useful related user data. Okay. I know, roundabout way to do this, but make it a little more readable when we're looking at it from a conceptual point of view. All right. So from this, we want to generate data for those 2 things. All right. Now what I'm intending to use here is Go. So I'm going to actually close this down. Let's open up GoLand. Put. It'll get there eventually. So my idea now is to generate data using a generation library in Go and make the data actually pertinent to what it is that I'm creating, right? So this would be a user's table. Can it JSON to Hasura? I'm not sure what that question means, Victor. Can it JSON? Can I paste JSON to Hasura? So Victor asked this. Can it JSON to Hasura? I'm not sure what you mean, but like, can you write JSON to it? Because in the GraphQL you can. I'll show you in just a second. It's pretty cool. But I'm going to write in Go. I'm going to use Go to generate data. Have JSON as specs of API. Oh yeah, so the spec really is, if we go over the API, then we have all this good stuff, right? So you can tell these are the tables, right? There's the generated data one. The one that I did at first, which was, yeah, just function generated data. And then I had, what was it? ID, created at, updated at, generated. And there we go. So that's the GraphQL response, which is all in JSON. And over here is the JSON query, of course. And that's what it looks like. So you get JSON out, and you send the request as JSON in a post, right? So that's what we'll be doing. We'll be generating this data. The difference is, however, we'll be doing a mutation. Do an insert, generated users, and we'll just want to do one user insert like that, and then it'll be by object, which we'll want to add the username and email, just like that. And then you'll notice, because of the relationship in SQL, that relationship that we built, right, the foreign key to make it many to many, I mean one to one. I'm not talking about many to many. Nothing's many to many yet. It's one to one. Because of that, we can also do this insert against the related table, right? So if there's any additional information that we have, we can go ahead and insert that too, which would be here. But I'm not going to do that with this one. I'm just going to add these bits, okay? And then we will want returned the ID, updated that username, created that. Yeah, I want all this stuff returned. So I'm going to add a username of Thomason, and then the email will be thomason@superdue.com, right? There we go. So we just added that to the database using GraphQL in this query, which is kind of a little hard to see because it's big-ish. But you get the idea. So I have this as the return value, return all these values from the data that was just added. So we'll get back the ID that's generated, right? So this is the gen random UUID, and then here's the date stamp, and then the values that we actually added ourselves. So I think that answers that question, Victor, that you had come up with. So we can get all this. And all of this is derived from introspection against the GraphQL API that Hasura provides. So it's all out of box. Like I didn't have to do anything to get that, right? All I did was create the tables that'll store this stuff. So just to clean up a little bit more here, actually I'm going to take this one for reference as we work through this thing. My code window go. Open. There it is. Let's do this. Let's just add notes in here. And paste that. There we go. Okay, so that's an example mutation of what we're going to want to do to insert the random data. And what we're going to need is username and email. Right? Do a new project here. Go 116, blah, 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 and I'm going to put this in the project that we're in. Come on, spinny wheel. There we go. Codes. Data generated member. To put it in root, or should I go ahead and? Yeah, I'm going to put it in root because Go is kind of funny, and I want to do that. So I'm going to create that. Then open the project. And that should be, there's Nyan Cat opening it up for us. Yeah, glad I can answer that, Victor. I'm always glad when I can answer a question. I hate to get stuck. Sometimes it's nice to look things up, but it's always nice to just be able to answer it right there on the spot. All right. So here's all the migrations that we just did, creating those tables. Here's the metadata, etc. We don't have any seeds yet because we haven't really created any data in the first place. Okay, that's set up fine. There's our Docker file. And then here at the root, I'm going to, let's create new Go file. Do simple application and just call it menu. All right. So let's see here. Yes, add it to this. All right, let's see here. What can we do here? Oh, we got that. Now we're going to want to execute that query. But one of the things we need to do is Golang data generation. And then what's the other thing? We need to look up Golang GraphQL. So I think what I want is the Golang GraphQL will go back into tutorial. GraphQL Go is the one I believe that I want. Yes, looks like it has all the stuff and the kitchen sink. So first off, let's do, is it Go Fake It that I want? Or do I want something else? There's Faker and Go Fake It. All right, this one has benchmark. So it's saying it's fast. 2,000 nanoseconds versus BOP. Okay. Must be public, support only for these things. Limitation does not support private fields. Not really worried about that. The examples though, how about them? Okay, that maybe that's not what I want. Getting started. Oh, this is not what I want. I want one where I can really see what I'm building. Oh, this looks fun. Yeah, there we go. Name, email, beer name. Perfect. This is what I want. So I'm going to use this. And then what is the command? We need to do terminal. And then here, it's going to be go init, go mod init, github.com/data/ generating data generator. Right? Generating data generator. Right? Go mod tidy. Let's. Yeah, okay, it's there. Go build. Cool. And there's the executable. There's our mod file with nothing in it because we really haven't added anything. All right, and then I want to go back to here. And let's actually snag this. Back to main. Let's just do this. Import. So theoretically, I do go build now. Oh, is it not going to pull it? Okay, go do the thing. Oh, let's do go build. The expected package. There's oh. I put it in the right places. Hmm. I don't really need that one anyway. Cool, so then go run main.go. And what? Oh, it's because I didn't derp. Let's see, format dot print line. We'll take this one, put it in here. I just want to see what we're getting. I want to make sure that this is really working, right? So then we'll do all the things we need. Email. They want like a 8. Nope. Hacker phrase, cooler beer name. Well, let's go with. Oh, actually, let's do bullshit. Bullshit, and then this one is going to be hacker phrase. And then, yeah, that'll work for this first go of it. Here we go. Okay, looks good. To Madeline Lynn, Floyd at Jenkins at halverson.net. Facilitate. Nice bullshit. Navigating the capacitor won't do anything. We need to navigate the auxiliary AGP alarm. That definitely sounds like a hacker phrase, don't you think? That is some classic stuff right there. Bloop. Look at that glorious generated data. All right. Why am I having this underscore and stuff? We already got it. Did I not get it right? Match no packages, except it's calling it and it runs. Well, anyway, it works. So we're gonna keep going. I don't know about IDE messages right now. I missed something, I guess. But yeah, so let's keep rolling here. We got that. Let's see if there's a struct. Random injected data. That's kind of cool. Oh, created format time. So I wonder if that's kind of a cool way to do it. Fake size, F pointer, print line. Yeah, that is pretty cool. And then custom functions. So this is a good library for creating random data in Go. Contact info, email, phone formatted. I would still like a. We're gonna stick to that. Oh wow, they really beer malt name IBU hop. I gotta show Jesse this lab. This is a good library. He likes to organize his this beer accordingly. So there's UUID. Okay, I don't need to generate UUID though. This looks good. So I'm gonna grab the library there, and I will put it in the chat if anybody wants to copy and paste that one to use it. So there it is, in case that needs to be used. And like I was saying, navigating the capacitor won't do anything. We need to navigate the auxiliary AGP alarm. I'm so funny, but not. All right. Moving on. Getting the GraphQL in there. So in here, with the GraphQL Go, which I haven't used in like 4 months, so I feel like I've completely forgotten what I'm doing here. This is the library that I usually use, the GraphQL Go GraphQL. It's a little redundant there, but so the way we do it, we set up fields, and then we need the root query. Okay. Schema config. Oh, this is setting up a server. I just need to be able to do the client bit. So it's here, JSON Marshall, print, blah, 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 data, hello world. GraphQL server, I wonder if there's anything else out there. So we'll come back to that, but let's see here. Golang GraphQL client. There we go. That's something. And then, wait a second. Subscription client, named operation subscription, usage, authentication. Hey. So there is some stuff. And this is ours. It's out there, so that's cool. Sure, cool GraphQL. I wonder what the differentiation is. I wonder what we've done to that. I didn't actually realize that we had done that. That's fascinating. So hey, we've contributed to the library there and added to it. So let's see about getting that one going. So I'm gonna whoa, that was the art dude. The art fella. Why is this not closing? Close. There we go. Okay, so we want to do, so there's our struct that we'll put together. Variables mapped with the values. Okay, and then finally call client query providing variables. And then up here, it looked like the connection. So GraphQL client equals new client, blah, 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 blah. Some GraphQL require authentication. We're not going to require authentication. Let's go ahead and get this in here. I burn it. There we go. So I'm going to go to the terminal, pull that puppy in, try downloading, and then the client is going to go like this. Obviously, that's not in that spot. I keep pasting stuff in the wrong place. Okay, then we're here. Okay, so we can skip authentication because it's pretty straightforward entry. Make a GraphQL, you need to define a corresponding Go type. Okay, so query, need, name. So I wonder if fragments, mutations. You can only find out by performing a query first. Let's suppose you've already done that, right? For example, to make the following a GraphQL mutation. Cool. You can define this. Then call client mutate. Sweet. Okay. Let's go back over here. This we need to get into the correct state, which is at. Oh, my copy paste skills are wretched tonight. There we go. Okay. And then I'm actually going to do this server. Put it in here like so. That's our mutation. Let's just paste that in there to look at it. Let's paste it in. Let that sucker out for now. Get back to the docs. Now let's see. This is our mutation here. We can define it as that. So let's take this. I feel like I should take all of this reference and we'll just squeeze that in too. And then comment it out, and then I don't have to go back and forth between the pages. We'll get to the variables in a second. So it would look like then our mutation struct this will be insert generated user struct. And then we'll have episode and review. So two values that are going in. And you get stars or commentary back. Okay, so we're going to do 2 that are going to go in. Or not 2, actually. We got going in. We got username and email. So let's do username ql.string, and then I'm going to call it username and email dirt. That'll be a string too. We need to add probably this. There you go. Okay. So I got that in there. And then this will be, this is GraphQL. Oops, GraphQL. This. Okay. So that looks like the name here. So I'll need this. Was that the passed in values? That seems pretty freaking weird. So basically that. There we go. What is going on? Okay. Let me put it in. There we go. Quote. There we go. And then we got email. Okay. So that is our struct. All our stuff that's coming back. So how did that look again? So stars and commentary are returned. Or is it what the heck? The episode Jedi review input. EP and then review. Oh, this is the review. Okay, then this is asking for okay. Got it. And then variables episode review. So review input. So that needs to go after the thing. Variables app string face this will be the username password. Seems like an excessive amount of work to get this to work. So then we need where are they getting this? Variables. There really should in these docs be just a simple working example of this. It's kind of ridiculous. So go back up here. What did they declare as far as starting with stuff? Simple query. Client query. Arguments and variables. There we go. So this would be this. Oh boy. Okay. So you're getting the idea, right? Albeit it being somewhat obfuscated. The idea is we're going to create the object here, which would be I closed the library. You would be kidding me. Of course. Nope. Copy here. Go scroll down. And let's just find at the point. Where is the example of that though? Here's some bad examples. I get the idea of what they're doing. I'm very unhappy with the example. Whoa, that this might actually be a better example because it's working, right? No, it's not working. It's just an arbitrary one. It's got bugs. All right. So apply there. Mutation. I don't have my object because it's not. It almost seems like I need an m dot username, but that's not what I have here. So I'm not really sure. That's the exact example. So the idea behind what I'm trying to do here is create a struct, right, to act as my inserting mechanism against the GraphQL API. Then from that, I would get the returned values. But overall, the library is, I don't know. I'm not very happy with the way it looks. Because basically, I want to be able to do something like, well, maybe I need to write a wrapper for it. Because ideally, if we're generating data, I just want to be able to do something like, we'll call it our generated data system dot add user, and then pass in some stuff, right? I mean, that's ideally what I want to get down to, which would be something like username and then email. Okay, that would be the generated data, which I would get from the fake it library right there. Super easy, super straightforward. Literally could even just have the go fake it dot email right here. Okay, but this is a bunch of cryptic looking stuff. It doesn't particularly map all that well to what it is, because this. Why would I declare a struct to call a function in GraphQL for an insert? That, I don't know. I feel like there should be some explanation around that. And whatever is happening in this perspective, it should be wrapped up into a cleaner call like that in the Go anyway, if you're going to write clean code. So this is kind of a mess. I'm going to work on that off stream. Because I'm just simply I'm not happy with that being a representative example. The idea though is we generate data and then we spit it into the system in a function like that. And we can generate a bunch of data and put it in the database. However, as is one of the things you may want to do, especially with test data, is as you've seen, we got migrations here, blah blah blah. There's a lot of other tooling out there for generating data. Let me see if I can remember what one of these is. It's your Postgres data. I'm on the wrong screen. Let me get that in the browser. You can see. Postgres data generation. Okay. Where's running database generated test data? That's one big sample data for blah, blah, blah. So I'm pulling this up because this is the easiest way to get a hold of some of these tools, and they're actually really good. There's quite a few of them that are really good. So let's use data object. I don't know what that is. Linear generator for PostgreSQL. And these tools, of course, you don't have finite control over whatever you're creating. So if you want to really control what you're creating, you need to do like what I was just setting up, which is to write code that's going to generate the specific types of data you need, like an email address, social security number, credit card, whatever, and get that inserted into the database in that way. However, with these, like let's hear, generate realistic test data Postgres with SB data generator. A new tool from software. So let's search. It's the easiest way to get that, I wonder. Let's do a search for it. No, that is not even. How did that end up being what I copied over there? There we go. Yeah, try it for free. That's what I want to do. It'll probably cost $1 billion because they say that start free trial. Also, I don't know about your website here. Where's the rest of the text? Wow. I'm just using Safari. It's a common website, y'all. Over there in Paris. You gotta get that going on a little better. Okay, and then let's see here. How to generate random data in SQL. Oh, look, this is kind of like what I was talking about before, where they're just using, random stuff, select queries, blah, 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 to get data into the database. That's not what we're trying to do. Test date, many tools. Ah, here we go. Makaru. Let's look at some of these. Oh, and these are talking about, oh, that's just Python stuff like we were just doing. No. I'll do project. Is it going to say, yeah, it does that too. Yeah, burn it. I know there's a tool up there. There's a UI tool. Maybe this is it. Data generator. Let's take a look at it. SQL Manager. Data generator. Oh, I can't just get it and try it. But you get the idea. Here's what it looks like. Let's click on this and see. So it's letting you pick a field list, and it's letting you select the type of data. So it gives you a little bit more control over what type of data you're going to put into the database. And then you generate it, etc., move forward with testing. Whatever the case, however you get data into the database, that's the thing that I want to bring up next. And let's see, we have data in the database somewhere. And this tool that I'm using, the Goland IDE, has the data grip plugin pieces so I can connect to the database. Now I opened the Postgres port, the 5432, in my Docker Compose config file, and I did that specifically so that I could connect to it with this IDE. And I'll show you why. Let's go in. We're just going to manually do a little bit of this real quick. So here's Postgres connection. Yeah, you keep going, working. All right, it's trying. It's doing it. Let's go ahead and close that down just for the moment. Clear list. Let's see where you are with all the stuff. Oh yeah, we needed .ignore file. Let's do that real quick. Oh, I'll show you another cool thing. So, all right, this has come up. Let's do Postgres and Postgres password. Download. There it is. Download and installed it. Let's test the connection. And because I opened that port, I'll be able to connect easily with this. There we go. Apply, close. All right. Yep, got it. Now it's going to sync on what's there. Click the little button. 0104. Oops. So these are the databases. We're in the public schema. I think that's the one I want to see. Yeah, there we go. Okay. There's our three tables: function generated data, generally generated users, generally useful related user data, etc. One of these, I think this one, we actually have that one piece of data in it, right? We added, yep, there we go. So we added that with the GraphQL. Now in this tool, what I can do is I can right click and scroll down to SQL scripts and then say generate DDL to clipboard. I'm going to query console. So you can see that generates the table, etc., which is all nice. Let's see here. What was the other thing? The other thing is okay. What's the button? There's a way to do database tools. Oh, that's right. Export data to file. Yeah, there we go. So this shows you what it's going to be like in the CSV, right? And there's various ways to do that, however you want to export the data. But one of the other things, so let's here, copy to clipboard. And then if I go into so just give me a new seeds, so terminal. If we go into Hasura, then we type Hasura seeds, I think it's create new data, I'll call it. It's the default database. And there we go. Okay, so you know what? I don't want to do it in there. Make sure to exit them. But I just did that. Q. Oh, I'm on my casing is off. There we go. Clear. So in seeds though, I should have. Yep. There we go. Default. And then let me do it again. Sura create seeds create new data. Okay, so then write that file. There we go. Okay, so I just had to write with the file. Anyway, it should just put. I don't know if it'll do it for you to put you into VI like that. But anyway, the idea is you create a C file and then I can paste in the inserts for that data, which is hopefully it is an easy way to do it. SQL scripts, generate DDL, or DDL to query console. No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted import data from file. Not PG dump. So usually you can get to SQL. And it's just, oh, this is frustrating today. And the data storage was database tools. Where is the tool? Anyway, the point is usually you can get the generated SQL with the data in it for the inserts and such. Copy table to color setting, scripted extensions. Generate logos review. Nope. Maybe if I do this. No, let's do this, then this. Export table to clipboard. I don't know about that either. Oh, it just takes the content as it is. So the point is, everything's working great for me tonight. There is a way, and I can't seem to figure it out right now, even though I was doing it I've done it a million times, and SQL scripts. There is a way to get the data in the generated inserts, add it to the seeds, and then in the seeds, you can do the command Hasura seeds apply, and it will reapply all the data that you just had in there. So you can keep the generated data that you created to work with your databases on, which is a great way to do all of this. Anyway, that basically covers the bases of what I was going to show you. I wish a few more of those things had worked a little more easily, but they did not. So that is a general approach to the different strategies you can use to get generated data and some of the ideas. I'll get more of this this example working and put it out there in the repo. So this repo will go up on my account shortly. In the meantime, everybody have a great time coding and hacking and database deploying, and I will catch everybody next time. So cheers.